Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, and welcome to the very first ever episode on this channel of us specifically just talking about a thing that I would say got me through my childhood and the thing that I enjoy watching to this day as well, every so often, is wrestling. Where this series, we're going to call it a series, but it's not going to be a series. It's just basically every Tuesday, me and my very good friend here, Gulam, who is over there. If you're watching, if you're listening, he's say hi.
What's happening? You all right?
There we go. So he will be coming on with me every single week, and we will have guests either from people that I know that like wrestling that can give us a little bit more detail, or we might get some people that might want to come on and have a little conversation about their time, and we'll get some more people on as well to talk about wrestling as well. But this will be once a week to start off with. We are looking to do certain things in the future as well, where we can talk about things, discuss things, and maybe do some live streams as well. If there's a pay-per-view coming up that everyone's interested in, we've got Survivor Series coming up very, very soon. We've got AEW Full Gear, I think, coming up this weekend. I think it is
Tonight.
Is it tonight? Okay.
It's tonight, yeah.
Everyone that's watching this last Saturday, we're recording this on the Saturday, so that's on. So let's see how that goes. But basically, this episode today is just going to be talking about introducing ourselves to you guys, telling you what we enjoy, what we like, and then what we're going to be doing. Episodes after that, we will be doing like a review of the past week and what we would do if we were in WWE, in NXT, NXT UK, TNA, AEW. If there's stuff on Ring of Honor that comes up that might be good, and even Progress when British wrestling comes back, we will watch. If there's something that's important to you guys that you want us to review and watch and give our report, just let us know. Go and DM the podcast on Instagram, or go and follow us on Twitter and everything below. So don't forget as well, down below in the YouTube videos and all of the videos that or you're listening to it on Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Music, down below there are links to all of our social media pages where we will be doing, where we will be talking, and we will interact with everyone. I'll tell you a little thing as well about the podcast is currently we are doing a specific Reading/football podcast, but we're expanding it. At the moment, I literally about an hour ago just saw Reading lose, so I'm pissed. And you can swear on this podcast as well. I don't really care.
I'll try not to.
So we specifically do that. What we're trying to do now is we want to grow the channel and make it different. We don't want to be a specific channel to a specific sport. So at the moment, we are in talks with someone to come on with us, with myself, and talk Formula One and talk NFL as well. We've also got Gulam on with us today that will be specific to talk about wrestling and maybe and his beloved Chelsea. And then we will have we've got Ryan and Adam who will be coming on with me to talk about Reading or football or anything else as well. So let's get into it. So, right, first question I have, and this is getting energetic today, is
I'm ready for it. Far away, boy.
Who is your most favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh shit. It's hard call. I don't know. Okay, if you ask me the first guy always comes to mind, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be Kurt Angle.
Okay.
You know, it'll always be the first guys that always come to mind will always be Kurt Angle or Chris Jericho. Those two will always be the guys I always like. First people always put my attention when I saw them wrestling. It's a funny story as well because when I remember when I first saw Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho, it always amazed me how people used to boo them.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, yeah, I mean, as a kid, you have to imagine I'm like probably 7, 8 years old at the time. And I'm watching these guys. I'm like, this guy's a gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got the freaking cool singlet and everything. You know, he's got these cool moves and all that in the ring. You guys are booing him? Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I saw Chris, I mean, obviously, I think I was a bit young at the time to understand, but I saw Chris Jericho as undisputed champion. I was like, who wouldn't be holding 2 gold belts and, have the cool entrance and all that? People booing this guy. I was like, I can never hate these guys. And, in all honesty, I don't think I've ever hated them.
Oh, I have. Kurt Angle annoyed me. It was one of those where he turned, when he went it went from a point where he went to really pompous, where he was like, "I'm better than everyone," no, all this, and then he backed it up. And then the thing was, then he backed it up. I went, "Oh, you dick! How have you done that?" No. Chris Jericho always annoyed me. He was always brilliant at annoying me, at triggering me. Anything he did, I went, oh, just the list was epic. When him and KO did the list, and before that as well, when he had the undisputed championship, and he used to go around, has anyone else beaten The Rock and Stone Cold on the same night? And he would repeat that every single time.
I think, in my opinion, it's the little things that always made them even better like everyone else. So even those small accomplishments, Jericho being the first ever undisputed champion, and Kurt Angle being a gold medalist. Who won the gold medal with a broken freaking neck, as he says. I think it's just always those sort of things that always stuck in my mind. How that always made me like them, and obviously they had the cool moves in the ring, and I don't know. It's just those two always my all-time favorites. Obviously, I like The Rock. Obviously, I like Stone Cold. If there was a guy I didn't really like as a kid growing up, I don't know, for whatever reason, it was Triple H, but that took obviously he grew on me later on.
Okay, then I've got a question for you.
Yeah,
if
sure.
you had to pick the Mount Rushmore, so that's the top 4 wrestlers of all time, may have been before your time, during your time, or whatever. Before we get into that, for me, my greatest wrestler that I love the most.
Hang on a second. Before you say that, let me be a bit more specific.
Go on.
You say wrestler, yeah?
Yeah.
You also have to say sports entertainer, because I think there's 2 different sides to it. That's my point. There's 2 different types, and come on. You got to be realistic.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're in WWE, you have to be a sports entertainer and a wrestler.
But I'm talking about the whole general system, mate. I'm talking about from the whole, the whole thing. That's why I look at it. I think there's 2 sides of it. There's the wrestler.
Okay, so if we go wrestler, then best wrestler for me that I loved the most was Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, as you said as well. The Rock for me was one of the best, just by his selling, and by the way he did things. Was you could tell he was, and I don't think he gets enough credit for this as a brilliant wrestler. Is The Undertaker? I don't think he gets enough credit as a wrestler. He gets more praise for his character than he does as a wrestler. But for me, his wrestling, he proved it. His WrestleMania's epic.
No, 100%. I mean, like, I don't know how familiar you are with The Undertaker's work. If you ever have looked on YouTube before, or even, don't want to say Wikipedia, but yeah, Wikipedia. If you ever looked at his history on there, yeah, you'll see how he started, from a young age. I think it was, for years people thought he started at the age of 19 years old. When so I'm just doing something quickly.
Research time, just to make sure he doesn't make himself look like an idiot.
So yeah, right. Excuse me. What was I saying? Yeah. So if you look at his when he started, a lot of people used to think for years, because it was on his Wikipedia page and a few other sites, that he started in 1984. Which, if you look at his birthday, would have meant he started at the age of 19 or whatnot. When he just recently confirmed with on the Steve Austin podcast that he didn't start wrestling until he started formally training until 1986. He said so he would have been 21 years old or something. So he had his first official match in 1987. I think he was 23. So I'm trying to say is that if you've seen when he started, if you look at his back history and you see how he started in the ring, you can always see he was athletic for his size.
Mm-hmm.
You can always see that he had that ability about him. He just, the characters he was at the time was just low budget, if you will, and was just for that. He was wrestling in the Texas area at the time. So this is way before he joined WWE or WCW for that matter.
Okay, then. So let's go into Mount Rushmore. They don't have to have been around when you were alive or anything like that. Yeah. Who was the top 4 favorites that you would put on a Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Okay, I'm trying to think now.
Do you want me to go first? I could go first.
And I can do. I'm just trying to think, because I've always had this in the back of my head. I just never.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you're talking wrestling, as in just wrestling, great wrestling and all that, Kurt Angle definitely is on there. Eddie Guerrero, 100%, he should be on that list. That guy could have a match with anyone you put him in the ring with. Him and Kurt had some crazy matches. him and Rey Mysterio, some of the best wrestling matches we'll ever know about, hands down. If you've ever looked on any of his matches with Rey Mysterio, I remember one which I remember seeing on, I think it was a WWE special where they were showing some of his classic matches. It was him versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc. I think it was 1997, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That one I remember stuck in the back of my head as well. I think people don't give enough credit to the ladder match they had for the
for Dominic. That was a weird one.
It's a weird one, but at the same time, people like the drama was there, the wrestling was there. Eddie, was at his best. What more do you want,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Eddie should definitely be on there. So that's 3 people already. I'm just trying to think. Shawn Michaels 100% should be on there because anyone who's ever wanted to have a great match has always said Shawn Michaels is the guy to have it with. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No, I agree.
Now number 4, and I'm talking about as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because I'd be lying if he shouldn't be on there, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think I have a rough idea, but I don't know where you're going with this.
Chris Benoit.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm just gonna say, as a wrestler, he deserves to be on that because you can't, forget the fact that he was a great wrestler. Everyone wanted to work with him,
Well, I can see where you're coming from. I can see that. Yeah.
Obviously it's a tough topic to decide, but I'm just talking about him as a wrestler. I'm not talking about him as the person or anything like that. I'm just, if we can look at Mike Tyson's accomplishments without, bringing in his other stuff, I think we should be able to talk about him on that level, but that's about it. Nothing further than that. That's all I'm saying. And
I agree with you on that. And I think
so you can only ignore, forget him for so long. People nowadays want to try and act like he never existed. I'm sorry, but he's always going to be in the history books regardless. So, I'm not trying to say excuses for anything he's done for. Excuse me. I'm not saying it excuses him for anything he's done. What I'm saying is that, without, if you look at the stuff he could do in the ring, and the matches he had, everyone, wherever he went to, wanted to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. It wasn't just one guy who said it. Everyone wanted to have a match with him because they knew they could have a great match out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And could, Chris was a guy who could make, from what I understand, could help the guys that were young and upcoming or needed a bit of help, get to the next level. So 100% he should be on that list. Whether you want to, if you want to give him a little credit, he still deserves that credit because, wrestling is what it is today because of Chris. And his influences have influenced a lot of guys that have come in today. Daniel Bryan, for example.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think Chris Benoit was an excellent wrestler. I think the issue is he went absolutely mental. And that was the only thing. So let's carry on moving on. So for me, the top 4 wrestlers, if we're going to go that way, would be Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero. I think you're right with the Eddie as well. But I'm going to put a very controversial character in here that people are not going to like. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this already. Is Brock Lesnar.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Brock Lesnar, to be fair.
I think if you look at it, with Brock Lesnar when he wants to work with someone, because his selling and the way that the moves that he can do are epic. When he 100%. Does work with you, it ain't gonna be a good match. Like Braun Strowman, that was awful. The Dean Ambrose WrestleMania match, that was fucking dog shit. That was. You can just tell when he doesn't want. You look at when he faced Finn Balor at a Royal Rumble. He wanted to wrestle him. Drew McIntyre.
Oh man, the thing about that one is that excuse me. The thing about the Finn Balor one was, let's be honest, if he's wrestling a little guy, there's only so much. I'm not calling Finn a little guy because he's not even a little guy per se. It's easy to make a guy who's just above average height, looks small in front of a guy like Brock, who's, they say he's 6'3", but but that's just a build height. In real life, he's probably more likely 6'1", 6'2"-ish.
Mm.
Anyway, my point is that if you put a guy, of his size in front of a guy of his size, and of course there's going to be a big difference there. Don't forget Brock's like 50 pounds, probably like 50, 60 pounds, heavier than Finn as well. So My point is that the believability can only be there for so long, and they can only go so far with that match, to a point where they can only, like, if they had made this match longer, for example, yeah, the fans are lost interest because then it's just them trying to make Finn look like he has a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think they did it correctly, where Finn was using his speed and then Brock used his power in that match. But okay then, so I've got a question for you. The top 4 greatest entertainers.
Greatest entertainers, yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. Righty. So the first guy that will always come to mind, and if you don't think that, you'd be lying. It has to be 100%. Excuse me, The Rock.
Yeah.
Number 1, hands down. If you don't think The Rock, there's something wrong with you.
It's a toss up between 2.
Second one.
I bet you're going to be the second one.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be either. If you don't think of either of those as the greatest.
If you don't, like, the way I don't want to piss anyone off when I say this, but if you don't, then you just really like the you're one of those guys that just likes the indie guys too much, and
flippy shit.
I don't have a problem with that flippy shit myself. I just,
if it's done right,
I don't have a problem with it. I like, I call it flippy shit. And I like guys like Ricochet for years. I liked Will Ospreay for a long time. Despite the stuff he seems to get himself into. The flippy stuff doesn't bother me as much, but my point. But when you overdo it to a point where people call that, oh, this is wrestling. It's not wrestling. It's over choreographed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to get into that one yet. We can talk about that another time. So yeah, entertainers. I said The Rock and Austin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The third guy, most definitely, has to be Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, agree with you on that. Who's the fourth one then?
The fourth one, I don't. You'd probably expect me to say Triple H at this point. The thing is that I can't really say Triple H has ever really been that entertaining guy.
He's been someone who can really annoy you.
It's not even that.
Get in your skin.
I remember some guys in a podcast once were basically saying they. I think this is when Triple H was talking on the screen that he said he left the room and he came back and he was still talking, and it's just like, what I mean? That's the one thing that always stuck in my mind. In the back of my head was like, yeah, he's never really been that great a talker. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad talker either, but he's not that great either. So for that one, I'm not going to put Triple H on. So I'm just trying to think who would I put in as number 4. It's a tough call, but
Jinder Mahal.
I like Jinder. I don't have anything against him.
No, not do I. He's something else.
I feel like there's untapped potential there as well still, which we haven't seen yet. And I feel bad, while we're on it, I do feel bad for him that he got injured again, because I felt like, this would have been his great, opportunity to, pick up where he left off. I mean, I hate using the same names over again, but, I'd be lying if I didn't say he was a great entertainer. That has to be Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Because, anyone who knows Eddie, like I've always said it myself, Eddie basically to me was the total package. Minus the fact that he wasn't the big guy in the ring. He still had a great look. He had a great physique. He was charismatic. Charismatic as hell. His promo skills were off the charts. Like, he could cut a promo as a heel, as a face, and he'd talk you in. I'll never forget that promo he did when he was telling those stories, and he had the chair and everything. There's only a few people that can pull that off, and that was Eddie. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you someone who I agree. I'm going to say the same thing as all three of them, but there's one person who I would put on there that's not modern day. That's a little bit further back. Is Jake the Snake Roberts? I think he was excellent on the mic, and do you know what proved it as well was when he first showed up on AEW and he did a promo, and he literally he hadn't done a promo, I don't think, in so many years or how long it was. And he turned up on the first night and he just put every single wrestler that is today to shame just by his promo skills. It was so... He doesn't shout. He doesn't yell. He doesn't raise his voice.
That's his style. That's always been his style, though.
Yeah, and I think that's the way. So, question for you: it's near the end of 2020. I'm gonna ask you top 3 wrestlers of 2020.
Oh Jesus! Sorry, I don't mean to be blasphemic as well. uh, mm,
I'll go first. I'll let you
yeah.
think, and I'll go first. My top 3 wrestlers this year are Randy Orton,
Okay.
Drew McIntyre,
Right.
Roman Reigns.
Okay, not a bad choice. I mean, I will if you allow me to comment on that. I'll
Yeah, you go.
start right now. Yeah. So Randy Orton for a start. In my opinion, this has been his best year in. Well, he's been on point for the past few years now. But I will say that this year has definitely been his best work ever. Not I don't mean as in ever, but the way he's been performing on the microphone. I don't know if I know you follow me on Twitter and everything. If you've seen my tweets, I usually tweet. One thing I always do say is that when they were doing it at the performance center. Yeah, you remember that they were doing it at the performance center. They had some of the new upcoming talents that they hadn't been used on TV, or some people are still learning and everything. One thing I used to say all the time was the people who are watching this right now at the performance there better be taking notes.
Yeah, and you could see, is it Austin someone, I can't remember, who went on to Raw for a bit with Andrea, and you could see that when them two sort of did stuff, that there's something between them. Okay, then, so who's your top 3 then?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say Drew McIntyre, because this has been his best year ever. I feel so bad for him that he hasn't had an audience.
Yeah,
this would have been his best. I say this would have been his best year. The way he has been on point as hell.
Yeah.
Like, he deserves an audience. But from what I know about Drew, well, we all know about Drew is that he's a company guy. And he's matured out and he knows what he's doing. He knows that it's all going to come full circle at some point. So that doesn't worry me as much. The second guy, I should definitely say, because this has been his best year, albeit he's only been back on TV for the past 3-4 months, give or take, has to be Roman Reigns, because he deserves it.
100%.
This has been 100%. This has been his best work ever since.
And I tell you what, that match against Jey Uso, and I said this because I watched it live, and I tweeted it live as well. I said that was the greatest storytelling match that I have seen since Undertaker Shawn Michaels. Since Undertaker Shawn Michaels Triple H Hell in a Cell, I haven't seen another match that's got me invested, as in really going, oh fuck, actually feeling emotional for Jey and Jimmy Uso when they were talking to Roman, and then Roman then started to cry, and then I was like, oh no, and then he just flipped the switch, and I was like, okay, Roman Reigns is now the greatest wrestler in the world at the moment.
I wouldn't call him the greatest wrestler. I mean, he can wrestle. I've always said he can wrestle. I never ever.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Let me brief you a few things. If you talk to me, if you ask me if I was one of the guys that was booming Reigns from 2015 to 2018, if you will, I'll say yes, I was that guy, because but I never said that it's because he was a bad wrestler. I said it was because of his booking. I wasn't happy. I still remember back in 2017 when he won the Royal Rumble. I was pissed that day because I was actually legit pissed that day because of the way that one went down. I remember I was saying, oh, Reigns this and that, but at the same time, I always knew it was just the booking's fault. It wasn't his fault.
He just did exactly what they told him to do.
That's my point. But for some reason, and I've gone into this argument numerous times with Marks online. I'm not afraid to. I'll speak up. I don't give a shit. I know I can tell. I can separate character from real person. I can tell when something's not real, and I can tell when something is real. And what I'm trying to say is that I know that I always knew Reigns was talented to some extent. I knew that he had that potential there. It was just untapped potential. If you looked at his promos he cut in FCW, NXT, that was a huge difference compared to where he was at when he was doing his babyface run from 2014, late 2014. Even when his early days as his babyface wasn't so bad as well.
No, it wasn't.
Like, if you remember, I remember when he was in with the Canadian fans. I still remember that he was in. I think it was Toronto they were filming for. Yeah, I think they were doing the Raw episode, and the crowd was chanting "Cena sucks." And what I'm trying to say is that the smart fans are there usually a bit hard to win over anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Roman, just obviously went off the script there for that bit. And he just went when Roman Reigns is in the house, you're damn right, Cena sucks. And I was like, this guy gets it. He knows how to work a crowd. Obviously,
you could tell when I think the work that he did with Cena was the work that he needed to do. The work that needed to happen, because you could tell that when the first mic happened, he went on script and Cena just did what he felt, and you could tell that Roman was out of his depth. And then a week went by, and then the weeks went by, and you could tell Roman was getting into it, and he was definitely into it. Okay, then. So you're saying your top 3 wrestlers are exactly the same as mine, then? Not
quite.
Oh, go on then.
Because if there's one guy I think that should definitely have his name mentioned on that list,
got to be Keith Lee in it.
Oh man, that made me feel bad now. He wasn't the guy I was thinking of, but you do know I am talking about, because I always tweet about him all the time.
I'm trying to remember now. Go on.
Damian Priest.
Oh yeah, you love him.
He's my guy.
Yeah, so if you had to pick someone who's your favorite wrestler now, are you saying Damian Priest is your man?
If you're telling me the guy who I think this is, excuse me, this has been the best year for him, it has to be Damian, because, like, in my opinion, he's one of the best big guy performers we've had in a long time. His character is on point. His wrestling skills are on point. His promo skills are. He's got the right voice for a talker. He's got a very deep, commanding voice. Which, if you ever look on YouTube in his comments, that's the first people will say. He's got a very powerful voice to him. And I say this all the time. If he got signed 5-6 years earlier than he was, he would have been the next Undertaker by now.
Jesus, big statement.
I'll
tell you another one.
I'll tell you right now. If you look up his work when he was Punishment Martinez, when I first discovered him, I remember it was an article I found online where they were talking about who could have been the next Undertaker of this day and age. And I remember it showed me this guy called Punishment Martinez. I was like, okay, let me look at who this guy is. And I just remember the first thing that came to mind is this guy's got the voice, he's got the look, he's got the physique, he's got the, he's got everything. And I was like, why haven't we got this guy yet? And this was just 2 years before they signed him. And you can imagine, I've been keeping a tab on that guy for some time. So when he got signed, I was excited.
I tell you what, there's someone else who I think with Keith Lee as well and Damian Priest, and 2 people that really do need a special mention. There's one person who has rejuvenated themselves, I think, the past few months, who I think deserves to have a championship. I want to see if you guess who I'm talking about.
Is it Dijak?
Nope.
Okay. Ooh.
And it's not a male wrestler. Alexa Bliss.
I love Alexa. So yeah.
Alexa Bliss, for me, her role with Bray Wyatt, with The Fiend, is so spot on. I think she is made for this role, and I think if you remember about 3-4 months ago, she got a lot of stick from the marks on Twitter talking about her, saying she can't wrestle. How has she got so many championships?
I've been hearing that for years, mate, and I'm just like, you guys ain't got a clue.
And I see a lot of people criticizing her, and I'm like, I think she's very good.
She's good. I think she's hands down like one of the best. She's another example of the homegrown talent done right.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that, like, to me, she's never necessarily had to be that wrestler anyway. Her job has always been as a heel, and has always been about making the other ladies look good, basically, and but getting herself over as a heel at the same time, and being the cheat. It's kind of like look at Ric Flair, for example. He was never a great wrestler, but he was a great heel, and his job was always about making the other guy look good and getting that sneaky victory, which made people want to get him beat up some more. You understand? That's the way I look at it with Alexa, and to me, Alexa is easily, without a doubt, one of the best promo girls I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Her work with Bray Wyatt is the best work she's done. Even though her microphone skills were brilliant anyway before, is she's now taken that to another level, and I think her character now can beat Asuka.
It's a big statement there, mate.
No, I will stick with it. I think her character now, if they put the Bray Wyatt type of selling onto Alexa, where you could give her as much as you want, but she's going to keep bouncing back and do the way that she's been doing at the moment, the creepy shit, then that creepy shit will outdo Asuka, I think.
I wouldn't, that's not really so much that comes to my mind as well, but, I like Alexa, so I wouldn't say no to giving her a chance against it. And I'll say that her character right now would make sense to do so, if you're talking character-wise. What was I going to say? Yeah, I remember, I still remember, I was going to say this a second ago. I remember two years ago it was, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was it was Elimination Chamber. I remember she won the Elimination Chamber. I remember when she won the women's title.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that promo she cut afterwards, and it's just the way she for a second you thought she was about to turn babyface, yeah,
mm-hmm.
and then just before you knew it, she just snapped back at the fans, and she just, in my opinion, like when I saw her do that, I was like, there's only a few people who can do that, and she did it perfectly. And I remember when Sasha tried doing something like that not long after that, I was like, I could tell that she was never going to retire after that. That just sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not a big fan of Sasha Banks anyway.
I lost interest in her a long time ago. I'm sorry to say. I say this all the time. I just don't see the interest anymore like I did. If you asked me 3 years ago, do I like her? Yeah, I liked her then. But in all honesty, I think it's because I've just seen her for too long and it just bores me to death. That's not saying she's not a good wrestler. She's good, but she's just boring. That's it.
So let's move on, and we're going to do one more question, and then what we're going to do is that's going to be the end of the podcast today. And then next week we're going to do a build up, I think, to Survivor Series or whatever's going on. We're going to start building up to. We're going to do reviews of SmackDown and Raw, and we're going to do a little bit of discussion about NXT and all of that sort of shenanigans as well. So my last question for you is, if you could build your own Survivor Series team. Of each brand, so you're going one from Raw, one from SmackDown, one from NXT, one from NXT UK. Who would you have?
Yeah, you put me in a place now.
Because I saw BT Sport did a thing the other day where they tweeted about this, and then I can't remember. I replied to it. I'm going to find what I put because I really liked what I put. But I can't remember what I put now. But
I was going to say I do have some names now that come to my mind.
Go on then, go.
Just one question. Sorry, how many people are on the team? There's 5, isn't it?
Okay, so I changed that. So you got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and one person from the Hall of Fame.
Oh right.
So right, your first person from anyone in Raw, male, female, we'll do male and female. But the male wrestler that you would have from Raw is
Drew McIntyre.
SmackDown.
Roman Reigns.
NXT. You don't go with your man, I'm going to punch you.
Damian Priest, I just
There we go. NXT UK.
I will say Walter because he's like the first guy that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said, if he was still there, I would have said Rich Holland, but he's not there at the moment.
Okay. Hall of Fame.
Just trying to think. For me, it could be anyone past and present, yeah?
Yeah. Anyone that's in the Hall of Fame.
Anyone's in the Hall of Fame, yeah? It would either be, can I say it would either be 2 guys. It'd either be Mark Henry.
Okay.
Or Andre the Giant. The boss.
Oh, so you go for a big man.
Well, he was the boss, so,
All right. So that's your team. Now, I have now got to build a team that's better than yours. So, Raw, I went through most of the same as what you said, but I'm going to change a bit of what I think. Raw, I did say Drew McIntyre, but I'm going to go for Keith Lee.
Good choice.
SmackDown. Okay, SmackDown. I'm going for Seth Rollins.
Okay, no, good choice.
NXT. My man, Pete Dunne.
I like Pete. I'll be honest with you. I just lost interest in him when he turned babyface.
No.
That was all. But
Pete Dunne's the greatest ever.
I'm glad he turned heel and he's joined Pat McAfee.
Oh, I love Pat McAfee. He's excellent.
I didn't like him at first. I didn't know that well at first, but he's grown on me. And
okay, NXT UK. I'm going for Drajakovic, whatever his name is. Dragunov, him.
Dragunov, man. Come on.
And then Hall of Fame. I'm going for my man, The Rock.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, fuck no, he's not. All right, I'm going for my man, Stone Cold. There you go.
Good.
I'll go for Stone. I keep forgetting he should be in there already. It's pissing me off that he's not.
I don't know. I'm surprised as well he's in the Hall of Fame, to be fair myself. I think he's just I think he's one of the guys that will that will happily wait his time and everyone else going before him. So that deserves enough respect on his own.
So that's who we're going to go for. We will do a poll on Wednesday on Twitter who you think did make. I will do a graphic and everything, so don't worry. On Twitter, I will put on Twitter a picture of both of our Survivor Series team, and I want you guys to vote for who you think that who would win the Survivor Series in general. But that's it. That's the end of the podcast. Thank you ever so much to everyone listening or watching. We know we're new, and we know that there's not a lot of you that are going to be listening to us or watching us for the time being. But what we are going to say is we will keep doing this. We don't care if the listeners or the viewers or whatever, but we like to talk about wrestling, and we love wrestling. So the reason why we're doing this is, one, we know that there's thousands of wrestling podcasts at the moment, and we know that majority of them are professional wrestlers, but we do this as in, we watch it, we like to give our feedback, and we want to get you guys interactive with us as well.
And coincidentally, they're all marks as well.
Exactly. They're all shit. So you're coming to a great podcast. Than anyone. So thank you ever so much for joining us. Don't forget to go and follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We have loads of other social medias as well, but I'm slowly building up to them. But those are the main ones that we have. Don't forget to go and follow us. Not follow us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching it, there's a little picture down below there. Of the logo that you can click and just subscribe straight away. And also, when you're up there as well, click the bell to get notifications as soon as we release a live video as well of this. Don't forget as well to go and follow us on SoundCloud, where you'll be able to get a notification when we release a podcast as well. And we are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So go and follow us, subscribe to us, and then you will get notifications as soon as we go live. But you, Lamb, you beautiful man, thank you ever so much for coming on. We have known each other
way too long,
on and off for the past.
Probably like if you want to go back to school, if you're talking about back into school,
that's where I'm going back.
2004, that'll be 16 years, mate.
Jesus Christ!
And that was if you even liked me back then.
Yeah, and there's a photo that I have on Facebook of us. Of where we had a interview day. I'm not going to share it.
I have seen that one. Come on, man.
Of an interview day where we both had to wear suits into school. That was a good day.
Bad day.
I enjoyed that day. That was fun.
That was the rare good days we ever had back then.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty shit those days. But yes.
I miss those days.
I don't. I fucking hated them. But thank you ever so much for coming on, young man. And we will see you guys next week, where we will review Raw and SmackDown, what we think of what's happened. And we will also be discussing a few topics that are happening over the wrestling community. And we will be discussing NXT UK, NXT, AEW, any topic that we can find that's happened in the past week of us as well. So be ready for us to keep throwing shitty content in your face. Right. We will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.